Welcome to The Explainer. In just the next few minutes, we are going to completely demystify the key terms and concepts you need to know about large language models, starting from the ground up. So, you've probably been hearing all these terms thrown around, right? Foundation models, LLMs, RAG. And if you're kind of wondering how they all connect, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We're going to build a clear mental map of this whole language model universe so you can navigate it like a pro.
First things first, we're heading into what I like to call the AI model universe. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty, we've got to understand a couple of key ideas that are, the bedrock of this entire field.
So, think of a foundation model like a really powerful all-purpose engine. It's been pre-trained on a truly massive amount of data, which makes it super versatile and adaptable. But it's not the final product. It's the powerful base that you can then build more specific tools on top of. And this is where it gets interesting. A large language model, or LLM, isn't some totally separate thing. Nope. It's actually a specific kind of foundation model. It's one that specializes in, you guessed it, understanding and generating human language. Which leads us to a really simple rule of thumb. All LLMs are foundation models, but not all foundation models are LLMs. And why is that? Well, it's because some of these foundation models are what we call multimodal, meaning they're trained on stuff like images, audio, or video, not just text. That's the key difference right there. All right, so now that we know what an LLM actually is, you're going to face your first big decision. Should you go with an open source model or a proprietary one? Let's break that down. Here's the core trade-off, right? With an open source model, you get total control. You can download it, you can mess with it, you really own the whole tech stack. But, and it's a big but, you're on the hook for everything, from the servers to security. Proprietary models are basically the opposite. They're a ready-made service that's super easy to use and always updated, but you've way less control over how it all works under the hood. And that leads us to the next fork in the road. How do you actually access the model? Are you looking for a model as a service where you just call an API and let someone else handle all the heavy lifting? Or do you want to self-host, which gives you all the control in the world, but also makes you responsible for the servers, the costs, and the whole shebang? Okay, so we know what they are, we know how to get them, but what can these things actually do? Let's get into their core superpowers. When you boil it all down, most of these modern language models are used for one of these three incredibly powerful functions. Let's take a look at each one. First up, creating embeddings. Now, this sounds technical, but it's absolutely fundamental. All it's doing is turning text into a string of numbers, a vector, basically giving words a coordinate on a giant map. This is how the AI can see relationships between ideas and search for stuff incredibly fast. It's the magic behind systems like RAG or retrieval augmented generation, which we'll come back to in a sec. Now this one, you've probably seen this all over the place. Image generation. You just give the model a text prompt, your description, and boom, it creates a brand new image from scratch. It's literally creativity on demand, powered by nothing but your words. And of course, the one we all know and love, text generation. This is the engine behind all those chatbots and coding assistants you see everywhere. You give it a prompt, and it just generates this incredibly human-like text back at you, whether that's an email, a poem, or a complex piece of code. So we've seen their capabilities. Now let's talk about the different ways you can actually put them to work in a real-world application. The best way to think about this is like a ladder. Every step you climb gives you more power, more customization, but it's also going to ask for more from you, more effort, more data, and more resources. And here's the thing, there's no single best way to do it. It all depends on what you need. Prompt engineering? That's your starting point. It's low effort, super cost effective. Then there's RAG. That's perfect when you need the model to know about your private documents or recent data. Fine-tuning? That's when you need to teach it a very specific skill or style, like your company's brand voice. And training from scratch? Whoa. That's the big one, reserved for massive, super unique projects. And what's really important to remember is that you don't have to pick just one of these. They're not mutually exclusive at all. In fact, they're complementary. You can totally mix and match, like using an RAG system that pulls data into a fine-tuned model to get the absolute best results. All right, we've covered a ton of ground. So to pull it all together, let's just do a quick recap of the key decisions you'll be making on your LLM journey. And there it is, your decision checklist. The big takeaway here is that these aren't just technical questions. They're strategic trade-offs,
control versus convenience, effort versus customization, and how you answer these really defines your whole game plan.
So you're not lost in the jargon anymore. Not at all. You've got the map, you get the landscape, and you're ready to start making some smart decisions. The only real question left is, what are you going to build?